Right, Frank, firstly, thank you so much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. First of all, how are you?
I'm very good, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, getting into it, but I want to do something slightly different. I don't just want to talk about boxing. I want to talk about more of the mindset. Like, what's it like working for Matchroom? I know we've got a massive Netflix documentary coming out, but I'm curious to hear your insight. What's it like working for Matchroom?
It's look, I started when I was 14 years old doing work experience, 16 full time.
Yeah.
It's a family. It was a family business. It still is a family business, but now it's a huge corporation now. When you look at it, we promote something like 400 events a year around the world across a whole host of different sports, and it's been a great journey. But it's been a place where you've been given opportunities. So it wasn't so big that you didn't get a chance to succeed. There was a number of people within the business who have been given opportunities to succeed. And if you put the work in and the effort in, you can go anywhere you want within it. So yeah, it's a great place to be. It's not corporate like a big commercial entity, but it's getting there, which is takes time to adapt to and change. But it's been a good journey.
All right, that's very good to know, to be honest. And I'm curious to know, what are your key highlights been for Matchroom? Like, what would you say are the standout memories? Obviously, I know being a part of Matchroom is a memory in itself, but what would you say are the key memories for you?
Look, I started there, like I say, I've been there nearly 18 years now, coming up to 19 years, and I've got to do so much over the years. Like, sometimes you don't actually appreciate the things you get to do because we move at such a pace. We did the show at Tottenham the other week. We left Tottenham, flew straight to New York on the Sunday. We left New York, flew straight to Riyadh, and it's like you don't really get time to look back and catch up. I think some of the key moments for me, though, when we did Froch Groves at Wembley, that was at a time where no one was doing anything like that to that scale. We did 80,000 tickets that day for that fight. Joshua Klitschko, not just as an event, but the fight itself, everything around it. Then you go to Joshua Ruiz in New York when he, albeit he lost, but what a spectacle, what an event to do that. Then you go to Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders when we did that in Dallas and broke the record there for attendance. You do Joshua Ruiz when we did it in Saudi for the first time. There's so many moments that you look at. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, possibly one of the best events I've ever been at. So many moments in my career that I look at and go, wow, we were there. But at the same time, I don't think I'll ever fully appreciate it until the day I quit. Because that's the time where you'll be able to sit back and go, look back at all those memories.
And I think something you mentioned before that I actually paid attention to in a different interview, it might have been with IFL, and you mentioned around that you take pictures wherever you go. Do you still take the pictures?
Yeah, I had an app actually where I kept notes of like things from each day. And then, like, where you go and do this, or like 2 or 3 key things, because I think we all get old and we all forget things. I'm going to get more and more forgetful as I get older, I'm sure. But just to look back on in years to come and go, do you remember that? Do you remember that story? It's interesting. In pictures, like Instagram's great, but to have your own record of everything is nice to be able to look back and see.
No, of course, the core memories. And I think one thing I definitely want to get an insight into is like, how do you juggle what you do with everything else you've got going on in life, so like family and everything else? Like, how do you find the juggle?
I don't really. I don't believe there is such a thing as balance. If you want to push yourself, like, I think everyone's goals are different and it changes over the years. Like, I'm sure in 4 or 5 years' time, my focus and goals could change as to what I want. And we don't all have to have the same sort of path or goals, or we don't all have to be judged or deemed on the same thing of success. Everyone's success is their own independent, whatever they decide it to be. I don't have any balance. I work non-stop, 24/7, and I'm not moaning about it. I'm just like you can't be at the sort of peak of what you do in any industry and then give as much time. One has to give, in my opinion. And I'd love to find the person who says it doesn't work like that. But yeah, you just have to. For me, I've put every ounce of myself into this business and doing what I do. But I know that I think if I hadn't have done that, and if I didn't do it now, I wouldn't be happy in years to come. And I look at it very differently. I've worked since I was 16 years old, 18-hour days, and I got lucky, by the way, to get into the bit. Everyone has an element of luck in their journey, of course, but luck only takes you so far, and then there's the element of you have to put the work in to get to where you want to be. And for me, it's put the work in now, so when I'm 40, hopefully I can be on a beach in a pair of sandals, putting out sunbeds.
No, of course. And you mentioned something I was actually going to touch on to anyway. It was around how you got into Matchroom. So let's say, for example, there's someone out there that really has the passion to work for Matchroom or any other promotion, but let's say predominantly Matchroom. What would your advice be to someone that wants to get into that field and how they work their way up the ladder like you did?
Yeah, I think I was selling raffle tickets. I called Eddie a tight bastard when I heard he had a Bentley and he gave me 20 quid. And I just pestered him for a job. I think the problem is, and I think work culture has changed over the years. When I started, I was making £40 or £50 a day, right? And I thought I was really rich back then.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd had a touch. I was making 720 quid or whatever a month, and but I was working 18-hour days. And I think this is everyone. We all see the niceties that people have. It's where social media is great in many ways, but also negative. But not many people show what goes into getting to that point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Everyone shows the nice stuff, but you don't show working till 4 o'clock in the morning. And I think now the problem is with our culture of work is people expect things before putting the work in. And also, people think, I've done 3 months of good work, I deserve something.
Yeah.
You have to literally, I did years and years and years and years and years and years and years, and I never asked for a thing. I never said I want more money. If you put the effort in, I believe, and you're in the right place, you have to be at the right place, you get rewarded. And I think that's the big difference, I'd say, now in life, is people want the positives without the negative side that comes alongside it.
Yeah. And I think that's an important point to touch on, because I've had many questions, many people ask me, how would you get into Matchroom? And I think that is just summed up perfectly. I think something else also that's been very interesting is to see the fact that you're not so much of the media presence, it's more Eddie Hearn. But do you enjoy getting yourself out there a bit more? Do you enjoy expressing what it's like from your experience?
Not really. I'd rather never do it, in all honesty. But I accept that as part of my role.
Yeah.
It's part and parcel of it. The issue I have is there is no one like Eddie at what he does. As much as people say I'm biased, I don't think you can find another promoter who does what he does. And I get compared to him. And I get compared to him in a way of, he's not as good as Eddie Hearn. Whereas no one else gets compared to, he's not as good as Eddie Hearn. They get judged on their own independent abilities. This is not what I came here to do, in terms of my role.
Yeah.
But I accept as you go through a business, your role changes, and it's part and parcel of it. So I get on with it, but it's not. I don't go out of my way looking for it, if that makes sense.
No, of course. So what do you do when you're not necessarily here, when you're not focusing on the boxing events and everything else that Matchroom has to offer? What's your downtime like? What is a nice relaxing day for Mr. Frank Smith?
Don't have many, to be honest. We go from place to place, so we finish on a Sunday somewhere and we go straight back to it, and Sunday you're working all day. I like doing nothing. I like the complete opposite of what I do. I like I could not go on my phone for I'd love to do that. So I love just even being amongst you. So I like, if I get time, I spend time with family, obviously. I live in Brighton, I go for a walk along the seaside with my missus, it's nice and chilled. But I'm quite a simplistic character. I could lay in a pool for 9 hours of a day without a phone and just be there, and I'd enjoy that time. So yeah, I don't do too much. I quite like that, because I think when your life's so mad, it's nice to have the opposite end of nothingness.
No, of course, that makes a lot of sense. And the last one, I'll wrap it up. Do you do any fitness? I've seen a few of the Matchroom individuals doing some fitness and some 5Ks and some weightlifting. Is that something you get into as well?
Yeah, we have Kai Peacock sitting up there. No, not you. Kai. He was talking about fitness. I said, Kai. Kai keeps us as fit and healthy as we could possibly be within the limitations of our constant travelling and work. But yeah, we try and keep fit. If you want to be focused, you need to make sure you're fit and healthy. So yeah, it's a big plus.
No, definitely, and I really appreciate your time, to be honest. I know it's going to be very busy here, and I can't wait for it to get started. But again, love to have another sit down with you one time, but I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Frank. See ya.